friends, my name is Victoria and welcome back to another video. If we're related, you can't watch this one, so you can leave now. Okay, so I'm currently on my holiday break and I knew I wanted to use this time to make a video. I just wasn't sure what I was going to talk about. Then Saltburn was released on Amazon Prime and it has launched a discourse that I just can't stand to be left out of, and so I think we need to talk about it today. I recognize that everyone and their mom has something to say about this film, hopefully not together, but I actually think my take is the most valid and probably the only one you need to hear because I can actually confirm that I'm the only person who gets this movie and understands it and knows exactly what was going through Emerald Fennell's head when she wrote it. So, if you don't believe that I eat, sleep, and breathe this film, then why do I have a picture of Jacob Elordi as Felix in my wallet at all times? That says Saltburn on the back. Why do I have Saltburn condoms in my purse? I actually do have a very reasonable explanation for both of those things. I was fortunate enough to attend an early screening of the film and they were giving those out there, people in like big gold wings like Felix wears at Oliver's party. But I haven't used them, guys. They're for the bit. Like, I couldn't say no because now I can go like, hey, I have Saltburn condoms in my purse, but like, you know. Guys, you know. Anyways, I went to this early screening because I already had really high expectations for this film. Emerald Fennell, who wrote and directed this, also wrote and directed Promising Young Woman, which I've talked about a couple times on this channel. That's a movie that changed my life. Like, I've genuinely said I don't think a day goes by where I don't think about some aspect of that movie. It's like insane. It's insane. So I had very high expectations for this. Barry Keoghan was in it also, and you know, I have been obsessed with him for forever. So I was really excited about this, and then I went to see it alone. It was my first singular theater experience and I could not be more grateful for that because I left that movie a goner. I have not been the same since I watched Saltburn. I left the theater and I wrote a really long letterbox review about it, and then for a while that was kind of all I could do because no one else had seen it yet, and then it released in theaters and I got to talk to like maybe 2 more people about it because no one was really going to the theaters to go see this movie, and then it hit Amazon Prime and everything has just gone kablamo. I've heard so many takes, and I feel the need to inject my voice right now because I like very genuinely feel so differently about this movie than I think anyone can ever. So I do want to get to a point in this video where I critique a lot of the critiques I've been hearing about this film just because I've been seeing so many weird reads of it. But I also want to clarify that like I don't consider myself to be a very pretentious film watcher. Like, yeah, I work in entertainment journalism, I do film reviews of that sort, but if you look at my letterbox or this channel, you know that a lot of the films I consider my all-time favorites are quote-unquote nonsense. I love Twilight, I love High School Musical, like Trolls, whatever. So like, I think that anything that makes you feel good is the way you should consume art. Like, I hate when people are judgy about that. So I don't want it to seem like, you know, I'm coming here to say that the way you interpret Saltburn is wrong. It's just that like, I'm so passionate about this film. Like, it changed my life and I just feel like it resonates with me in a weird kind of visceral way. And if I wasn't adding to this conversation and maybe changing people's thoughts about it, I can try, you know? But before I get into everything that has infuriated me on the internet, I want to talk about some of the things that I feel the need to celebrate about this film because there's so much perfection in it. I couldn't talk about everything, but we have to try. We're starting with the cinematography because duh. You could probably just watch this film on mute and still start sobbing. Like, it's the most visually stunning film I've ever seen in my life. It's in a different aspect ratio, so it's like so truly unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I think you can credit a lot of that to the fact that like Saltburn, the estate itself, is like such a gorgeous piece of land, and I'm sure there's a lot you can do with something that castle-like, but also just like regular shots of a person's head are like some of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's really innovative just in terms of its look. If it doesn't get that Oscar at the very least, I will lose my mind. Another Oscar I'm gunning for that I unfortunately think is less likely to happen, even though it totally should happen, is Best Original Score. Anthony Willis did this score and he also did the Promising Young Woman score, which is like, oh my god. There's one song in Promising Young Woman that changed my life, Blue Halo. It's the scene where Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham kiss right under that like blue plate thing. Oh my god, it's like, I feel it in my heart. It's like the most romantic thing, and obviously he ended up being a sucky person in the movie, but in that moment it's like, love is real and it's so beautiful. Anyways, this is so like just as good but so different because Saltburn is like this crazy castle-like estate. It has such like a grand British presence, and it's insane. There's so many songs in this score that are like actually life-changing. The maze is outrageous. Like, it's so painful, it's crazy. Obviously, like, listening to it on its own is so pretty, like, it's heartfelt, like, it's grand, but then seeing it in the movie paired with Rosamund Pike's scream that, like, I can only assume came from like the deepest depths of her grief, like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I can't even talk about it. I mean, I'm talking about it, but like I can't talk about it because it's so good. And then another favorite of mine is Felix Amica or Amica, I don't know, it's kind of like Felix's theme, I guess, in that montage when he's dancing. It's really stunning. I think I've looped that one the most. I think it just like, it's fitting in the sense that like, it's still like British and magic, like whatever, but it's like you can feel the casualness, like the party vibe, but you can see how Oliver is in love with him. I meant to tell you guys this, I do understand like what Jacob Elordi is bringing to the table, like physically now. Like, I wasn't really seeing it before, but I can like appreciate his face, if that's what you want to hear. And then I guess to move on from that, we should also touch on something I just said, which is like, you can see how Oliver is in love with him. Oliver is not in love with Felix, which you can debate if you want to. But I do kind of want to talk about what I was thinking the first time I watched this movie, when I was not expecting the second half of this to happen. When I was first watching this movie, for the first half, I was relating to Oliver a little. And obviously the minute the bathtub scene happened, I was like, okay, this is not my thing. But when I was watching it, I was like, oh, like I feel like I've been in this position. Like, I feel like I've had feelings for someone who was cooler and richer than me and was like maybe, you know, kind of toying me along for like, because they'd never been friends with a loser before. Like, that was what I was feeling. I was like so in touch with like the queerness of it all. I was like, this is so me. And so part of that reason is like why I connected with this film so beautifully, is because like it takes you on this like almost heartbreaking like romantic journey where you like feel for both of these guys and maybe you don't, and it's like weird. And then the bathtub shit happens and you're like, oh, I know nothing. And that's what a film should do. Duh. Anyway, I just think Emerald is such a master of like subverting expectations like that. And I've seen a lot of people saying that she doesn't know how to end a movie. I don't know, like maybe, but you can't tell me that that twist, at least that jump from like the first half of the movie to everything that escalated, was, you know, expected to you. Like, I thought that was so crazy. I don't know. Anyway, I also need to touch on the performances in this because it's just filled with a beautiful ensemble. And I don't know if they're going to take any Oscars just because the lineup is like really good this year, but I really hope they do because I love them. Anyways, Barry Keoghan, obviously. I loved him before this, but this was like his first like real lead, and he commanded that screen, dude. Like, he was so committed to this role, which, you know, we can tell because he did so many things I would never do, even for like a lot of money. So love him for that. Love Oliver. Like, Oliver's like such a journey and he captured it so well. He's so great. Obviously, like, do I think he should have been playing the age he was playing in this? I don't know. He's like pretty clearly in his 30s, but I'm not gonna complain because he was so good. Jacob Elordi, I mentioned, I didn't totally see the hype before. I just kind of knew him as like the yelling white guy from Euphoria, and I've seen a lot of yelling white guys, but oh my god, he's so good in this. Then I saw Priscilla, which maybe I'll talk about later. I probably won't have time, but he's just very clearly a class act, and I think this could be his Oscars season in terms of like nominations. I don't know if he'll win, but he's really good. I hope he's employed forever. He's hosting SNL soon, and you know, you combine a guy I like with SNL and it's like over for me. So find me, you know, dead on that day. But anyways, the guy who played Archie was also the guy who played Archie. His name is Archie. The guy who played Farley, also so good. And then you know what I found out? He's the guy from Gran Turismo. If you went to AMC like once this year, you probably saw the Gran Turismo trailer 100 times. They were shoving that movie down our throats. And every time I saw it, I thought, this is probably the worst movie I'd ever seen in my life. But then I saw this and I was like, okay, he slayed so hard. Now I have to go see Gran Turismo. So they worked their magic with that one. Anyways, Rosamund Pike, I did not appreciate enough before, but she was so good in this. I think she could maybe get the Oscar. Love her. She ate. Carey Mulligan was in this for like 2 minutes, but I love her, so happy for me. And then who am I missing? I don't know. Other people. The cast is really good. It's a really good movie and it makes me cry just thinking about it. Anyway, I feel like I've got all the major praise I wanted to give out of the way, which is great because now I want to talk about the bathtub scene. And I don't want to talk about the bathtub scene, but I want to talk about everyone's reaction to the bathtub scene because all anyone ever talks about is the bathtub scene, you know what I mean? I have friends who have not seen this movie, know nothing about this movie, but they know about this because you go on Twitter, you go on TikTok, it's all anyone seems to be able to reduce this film down to, and I have a lot of problems with that. But I want to start by talking about my reactions to this because I don't want to say that anyone is in the wrong for being caught off guard by this moment. As I mentioned, the first time I saw this movie, I was in a theater by myself and I could not be more grateful for that. The past few times I've rewatched the movie, I usually just skip it because like I saw it once, I don't need to see it again. The same goes for the vampire scene, the graveyard scene, like that stuff is crazy. Like I'm ace, like whatever you were feeling, I was feeling 10 times worse. Like I totally get how it's like shocking to people and I have no need to be like consuming that again. But the fact that it's like all people can talk about is hard on me when there's like so much else this film has to offer. I've been seeing a lot of people interpreting this as just like a weird movie or like shock value implemented by Emerald, and I just like don't think that was how her mind was working because like these scenes were kind of necessary to give this journey of like craziness because like I told you, like when I was watching the first half of this movie I thought it was just like, you know, a kind of suspenseful like queer coming of age story, and then the bathtub scene hit and I was like, okay, like I actually don't really know what I'm in for at all. Then it escalated more and more. You get to the grave scene and it's like, okay, like this is clearly a psychological state I could never understand. And so obviously when I rewatch these movies, I skip those scenes because I already know what happens and I get it now. But the first time I watched this, like I needed to see that. A very common saying is like, comfort the afflicted, afflict the comfortable. I needed to be afflicted to understand what the hell I was watching and what the hell I was in for, and that was what I needed to separate myself from Oliver. And it's like, if that hadn't happened, things would be so different. So different. I obviously don't have any hate for people who haven't seen the movie and only know about the bathtub scene because like that's all the internet is feeding them. But people who saw the movie, who can only talk about the bathtub scene and the grave scene, I just don't think they get it. And it's like, who am I to say if they understood the film, whatever, but like, that to me is a major tell that they didn't get the movie, because like, that can't be all you take away from it. And like, I'm down for jokes about it too. Like, it's a weird scene, it's a funny scene, like totally, but it's so much more than that. And you needed those scenes to be able to get everything else that was going on. So I just like, I don't know how you can watch that and be like, oh, haha, bathtub scene, like, haha, I would do that for Jacob Elordi too. Like, but like, did you watch it? Like, did you get it? Like, did you process it? Like, I just don't think you did. Anyways, I guess I will conclude with a parting message for the categories of people that, you know, are maybe watching this. If you saw Saltburn and you got it and you agree with everything I said, you're a genius, no notes. If you watched Saltburn and you only talked about the bathtub scene afterwards, watch it again and do some critical thinking. But also, you know, open your mind a bit and maybe skip those scenes and just see if you can, you know, like, I don't want to, you know, baby you, but I just wonder if you got it. If you didn't watch Saltburn and you were worried about the bathtub scene, if you know the premise, just skip it, you know? Like, you don't have to watch it. I don't watch it anymore. And then finally, if you haven't watched Saltburn but you know nothing, maybe just watch the whole thing. And then if you get uncomfortable, you can skip it. But also maybe you need to be uncomfortable to feel things. I think a good movie makes you feel things, and this movie made me feel a lot of things. But that's everything for me. I appreciate you being here. I was getting so stressed seeing the discourse about this movie, and I'm glad I got to add my voice even if you don't agree with it. It was nice of you to stick around and watch. I love you all. If you found my channel through like my CD and vinyl stuff, my collection is looking so good right now, so I think my next video is going to be an updated tour, so be excited for that if you care about that. But yeah, I'll probably see you soon. Glad I got to talk to you today. Slay. Bye! That was officially the last video I'm ever gonna film on this phone because I got a new one for Christmas. So I'll miss you, iPhone 8, but not that much.